Alex Car Doctor, welcome back to my channel. Guys, I've been trying to do this video forever. It's a timing chain video on the famous 2.4 Ecotec. They're notorious for going out. I've had 3 of these cars in here this week. Well, engines, they come in a wide variety of cars. So it's the perfect opportunity for me to show you guys how to swap out a timing chain on these 2.4 Ecotecs. Let me show you today's patient, and we're gonna dive right into this thing. So today's patient is a 2013 Chevy Captiva. Now, I've never seen one like this, and I'm gonna show you right now. It was, actually drove it in, but I'm scared to crank it back up. Oh man, it's the worst one I've seen. I haven't seen one do this yet. Guys, write down in the comments, let me know if you've seen one where the chain has beaten so bad and came up through the valve cover here. Look at that. Yeah, you can see the chain between the cracks. When it's running, the chain is just flapping. So it don't beat its way past bust its way through the valve cover. I guess it said it's tired of being in jail or something. I don't know. The guy is a good friend of mine. He runs a dealership, so it's his vehicle. He's gonna actually send the valve cover off to get repaired. So I'm gonna take it off today and give it to him so he can give it back to me all fixed, hopefully all fixed. Let me show you the other vehicle I just did yesterday. Now, time-wise, if you're thinking how long it takes, if I'm not filming, if I'm not showing you guys how to do the job, it normally takes me about an hour and a half. The job pays 4 hours. So let me show you the other vehicle I just did yesterday. So this is a 2012 Chevy Malibu. And, well, I got everything put back together now. But this one wasn't that bad. I'll show you the components that I had to change out. This is the main guide, the tensioner guide. The tensioner rides up against it, puts pressure on the system. Now, this guide always breaks. It goes up in there like so. And it's supposed to have a little ear that comes off of it. I think it goes on like so. No? Well, you get the idea. It's broke off. This ear always breaks off. And when that happens, the chain slacks up. And when it slacks up, it starts beating on this guide here. This is the top guide. Sits down like so. And this breaks, chain gets slack, start beating this, tearing this up. Most of the time, shearing this part, the top part off. Like on the Captiva that engine is in, well, yeah, it sheared that off and started hitting up against the valve cover. This is the tensioner, the chain, and it comes with the crank pulley here, and a updated oil squirter or jet or whatever you want to call it. Now, it's different variety of these engines. This engine is not direct injected like the Captiva over there. That engine is direct injected. This one is not. Doesn't matter, same exact thing once you get down to it. So let me go on back over here, get started breaking this down. Follow along, hope you guys learn something, and we'll go from there. This is one of my favorite brands to use, speaking of parts. And like I mentioned to you before, this part number is 9-420-1SA. It's the same exact part number. Well, I'll just go get the box and show you the part we're going to be putting on the Captiva. Over here at the vehicle, as you can see, same exact part number. And I have a valve cover gasket for it as well. That's the part number right there for it. Felpro. And let me just show you the kit brand new. You've seen it used. So there's that guide. See the little ear. New crank gear. Chain. This is oil nozzle. It's like a updated version. I don't know. I'm not a parts expert, good people. And the tensioner is in this box right here. I won't pull it out because I haven't put the camera on my head yet, but you get the idea. I'm just gonna set this to the side. All right, let me go grab some tools and show you the first step on how to remove the valve cover. Okay, I'm back. Now, it seems kind of stuck. So what I'm gonna do is just slide this purge valve out the way. It's like a lock-in tab that's kind of bent in place. So I'm gonna have to bend it in a way so I can slide it out. Just so much stuff is in the way. Come on, there we go. So just want to move this. Go ahead and move this wiring harness. Now you can leave this be, but me, I just like to make sure nothing's plastic in the way. I don't want to break anything. Now, like I always say, it's okay to take down with electric or air tools. Not okay to put together with electric or air tools. Now, when you're taking these off, just pull right up. If it pulls right up, you don't have to put them in any specific order. Some of you may want to just go ahead and change them out since you already have them up. I don't know anybody's budget, but if it was my vehicle, I would just change out the coils, do a tune-up while I'm in here, change out the cam phaser solenoids or actuators or whatever you want to call them. All right, this is gonna be in my way, so I'm gonna remove this. Always take out your screws. That's a tip for you guys. I had to learn that the hard way. I used to leave them in. Until I start losing stuff. So now I take some out. All right, we're approaching the hidden bolt. It's hidden right, let me see, down in this hole right here. All right. And I like to take out my screws. Another reason I like to take them out because when I'm removing the valve cover, sometimes a screw will still be threaded in just a little bit. So by doing it this way, you know there's no screws holding you back. All right, so I'm gonna do this bracket. Okay, now you want to just double check everything. You got everything. I'm gonna take my screwdriver and try to pry up on. It didn't work. It's so brittle. And that's okay. If that breaks, you can either secure it down with like a zip tie or something like that, and that's probably what I'm gonna do. You gotta think it was blowing oil all over here. Oil and plastic things don't mix. Cause it to be very brittle and it'll just break at the touch. So as you can see, I'm just kind of sticking my screwdriver and kind of giving it a turn. I'm not forcing it. This is aluminum, you can gouge it. So you want to be very careful. Now on the Malibu, there we go. On the Malibu, there was a bracket right here that was bent over the valve cover. So basically what I did is took my pry bar and just pushed it over and it came right up. But this one doesn't have that. Come on. Look at that. You can see where the chain was scraping real bad. All right, let's see the damage. Ooh, look at that. I told the customer, I was like, I'm scared to crank your car up because it could jump time, and I'm surprised it didn't jump time. Wow, I haven't seen one this bad yet. Just completely sheared off the top of that. Just sheared off the top of that guide there. Now, what normally happens on these particular engines, the chain will beat so bad on this bolt that's holding the guide in. The bolt that's holding the guide in, and rip the bolt out the block. Now, there is a fix for that, thanks to my YouTube subscribers and all the great comments that I get. There's a fix, and I will put that down in the description with a link somewhere. I always get this wrong, but I'll put it down there somewhere so you guys can have that. Now, this is an interference engine, so if you do tackle this job yourself, be very careful. Just be careful, because if you put something together wrong or do something wrong, the valves will make contact with the pistons, causing internal engine damage. Now, the other thing I need to do is find the debris, because there's a chunk of metal in this engine somewhere. So I have to find that, because I don't want to leave that down in there. So if it would have fell out, it would have fell out this way and went down in there. So once I get the front cover pulled off, I will then check down in to see if the metal and try to retrieve it. Most of the time I do retrieve the parts. I'm gonna show you guys a quick tip how to check these phasers. Now, if it was my car, again, this is not my vehicle. I've already explained everything to the customer that what I recommend, but this is a for sale car, I'm assuming, and he just want to fix it where it's drivable and longevity. But if it was mine, I would replace the phasers just out of preventive maintenance. You do not want to go back in here. But I'm going to show you a quick tip how to check the phasers. Let me go grab my wrench. Okay. Back with my wrench. The size is a 15/16. Basically what I do, I want to hold it right here so it won't jump timing. Find the grooves and basically move this front and back. The idea behind this, what I've seen with other vehicles and these sometimes, if when I'm moving the wrench, the cam back and forward, the phaser should respond to that. Now, what I'm looking for, if the phasers were bad or if it fell apart in the inside, every time I move the wrench a little bit, this will be stationary, meaning you'll have play. And what'll happen is when you crank the vehicle up, it'll rattle. That phaser will rattle around in the inside. So that's the idea behind this. So these phasers seem to be good. The internals are good. Now, that way is not always guaranteed, but that's just a little quick way I check them. Because the phasers actually do move separately from the cam. That's how the timing is adjusted on the fly. All right, the next step will be to put it up in the air, take off the wheel, and I'm gonna go ahead and roll it up in the air right now and keep walking you guys through this process. All right, got the car all up in the air, truck. I always like to test the might of my little 3/8 impact gun. It may not do it because I have the smaller battery in. Bigger battery is charging, but let's see what happens. Ooh, look at that. Like a glove. Man, I love this gun. Until something like this happens. Not the gun fault. Alrighty. Found my handy dandy little pry tool here, but we're gonna want to remove this little shield. Just these little push pin clips that everybody dislike. So if I can get them, they making a fool of me today. I can't get the push clips. There we go. Sheesh. See if the other one give me a hard time. I guess I had to kind of warm up. I'm like an engine. Gotta warm up sometimes. If I don't warm up, I won't run properly. All right. Fold that out the way. And I thought I had my big sockets over here, but I'm going to take off the crank pulley bolt. But before I do that, I'm going to undo my belt and take off my belt. So that'll be out the way. So I guess I'm going back down with it because I don't think I can get to the belt. Yes, I can get to the belt from up here. All right, so I'm gonna go get my let me jack it up some more, and I get my crank bolt socket and knock that off. Okay guys, I'm gonna try to do this with the camera still on my head so you still can get a good view. There's two ways, come on. There's two ways you can get this belt off. Let's see. The first way is take a long, a belt tool, which I have, but I don't feel like finding it, but it's this flat bar that I have that has a 3/8 drive on it, and it's, you know, sticks right there. But if you don't have that tool, here's the other way. I take them off. I basically take my pry bar and just push up. Hopefully you can see that on camera. I just push up and simply remove the belt. And I put it on the same way. Cause sometimes that 3/8 indentation will get stripped out and, you know, you'll run into issues there. So now you know the two ways to take off belts. All right, now, my flashlight back in my pocket. And grab my 13/16. That's the crank bolt size. So I can remove the crank bolt. Also, it's a 21 millimeter if you don't have standard. It should just pop right off. These normally don't give me a hard time. There's some crank bolts out there. It's like, oh my gosh, it's a fight. And this pulley, if I remember correctly, is not pressed on. or anything, so it should just slide right off. Now going back on, I'm gonna mention this twice, but going back on, you have these flat indentions that sits into the oil pump. So you wanna make sure those are lined up perfectly, and don't wanna force anything when you're going back on. Just kinda wanna give it a turn. So you have to line it up with the keyway, which this is the keyway, and you have to line it up with the oil pump. Now, if for some reason the oil pump do turn out of alignment, you could just simply take your screwdriver and just turn it like so. Hopefully you can see that on camera. Let me shine my light. Okay, there we go. Just turn it like so. All right, now that we got that out the way, while I'm down here, I kind of should have done the top first, but it really don't matter. Sometimes you can find, well, sometimes mechanics like to go up and down, but normally I try to do the top or do the bottom. I guess it really doesn't matter with me because I have a lift, but you guys at home probably want to, you know, do the top first, then do the bottom first. But since I'm down here, I'm gonna take my electric ratchet. Come on, flashlight. And undo my tins. Now, when I like to put my sockets like this, I mentioned this on a lot of my videos, you see a hole? The hole corresponds with the locking ball. So the sockets won't easily come out. Make sure I'm going the right way, which I'm not, all right. Now it's okay to use power tools to take this stuff down, but when we're going back on, use a torque wrench and hand tools. Before I get too deep into this, I am gonna spray it down just so it can be a little cleaner. Make sure my camera angle is fine. It was kind of facing down a little bit. Hopefully I didn't miss anything. So, and there's a 13 up there that I have to get, but I'm gonna finish grabbing my tins. The tins that I can see. All right, I almost forgot where I left off, but I noticed I didn't show because the camera cut off on me and I thought I was recording. But basically what I'm doing is taking an extension, and the last bolt I had to remove was a 13. I took an extension and grabbed the 13 like so and, you know, screwed that on out. I'll show you once I get it back up in the air. But I'm back on top now. I'm gonna finish getting my, finish taking apart the front cover bolts, which are a series of 10 millimeters. Now while I'm up here, I do want to move my engine box because this is gonna be in the way. Let's see, it should be a bolt, yeah, 10 millimeter. So I'm not trying to be here all day, so like always, it's okay to take things down with tins, but I mean with, you know, electric tools or power tools. But I find it easier for people who are new to tools not to use power tools when installing fasteners. You can strip things out and just cause a world of trouble for yourself. So let's just say don't use power tools for reinstalling bolts. Now I'm not saying that you can't, I'm just saying you know, don't if you don't want to make troubles for yourself. All right, so stuff those there. Okay, so the next thing I'm gonna want to tackle is the engine mount, because we have to remove this engine mount to get to the rest of the fasteners. And that way we can jack up on the engine and lower it and, you know, go up and down with it. All right, so let me get my jack to secure the motor. I didn't bring that with me, so let me grab that right now. I'll pull the camera off my head for a quick moment so I can show you. Now, I'm gonna show you what I'm gonna do with this piece of wood. I've always made it a good habit to put a piece of wood on my jack if I'm going to be lifting up the motor with it. So I'm gonna put it right under the oil pan. Oh, the lighting down here is terrible. Let me see, can I fix that? All right. And I'm going to jack up on it. And what the wood does is it creates like a cushion between the metal jack plate and the aluminum pan. If you do not use a piece of wood, you can risk damaging you can crack your oil pan. And so many short words, so we don't want that. So always use a piece of wood. That's my recommendation when anytime you're jacking up on the motor with a jack. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and slap this back on my head, and we're gonna remove the engine mounts. Now the engine is supported, it just won't drop down rapidly when we take it loose. If I remember correctly, it's 14 and 18. So let's try that. And I'm not correct. It's a 15. I'm trying this new thing with this light. Guys, write down in the comments if you're liking it. I will try to include my ring light in more of my videos. It just brightens up the area real good, especially when I'm doing these late day videos. Yes, everybody is gone, so it can be quiet when I'm filming and I won't be interrupted. As you can see, I have my bay door closed down, so no one thinks I'm here. So I'm gonna run these off. They're 15 millimeters. As you can see, the motor still dropped. Let's kind of pick up on it a little bit. All right, so I'm gonna undo this 8 millimeter right here too, just so I can manipulate the line a little bit more. See, just want to completely move it out my way. This is what I like to do sometime after I remove a bolt. I will run it back up. I don't know if I mentioned this, but this chain was beating so hard, flapping around so bad, it beat a hole in the valve cover. They tried to get it fixed, but the guy said it was just too thin and to get a whole nother valve cover, and that's what they did. So let's see if I'm right on the other one. I think it's an 18. I got a feeling it's a 17, but let's try the 18. Yes, my feeling was wrong. And I dropped the bolt. So I'm gonna move this out the way. I can't see where the bolt dropped to. I'll probably get it back up in the air and get it. Yes, the wheel is back on. I had to move it out of the bay earlier today. So I took the wheel, well, I put the wheel back on temporarily. So I may can get it with my magnet. Somebody done moved my magnet. Okay. You know what? It'll be all right. Let's just carry on. So now what I'm doing is jacking up the motor a little bit, so I can get the motor mount bracket. And these are 18s as well. So I'm gonna switch to a stubby and not a deep. Crack these loose. Now I may need a wrench for this one right here. Yeah, I'm getting my wrench stuck. Let's see. Yeah, I'm gonna need my wrench. Yeah, I can't get it up in there. All right. Why am I always unprepared? I'm gonna try my swivel. See if I can make some magic happen. Oh, this looks like it's gonna work. What I'm gonna do is try to break it loose first, and then I hit it with my electric ratchet. No, almost worked. Nope. And it's not going up it no more. All right, so let me go grab my ratchet wrenches and I'll be back. All right, fellas, I have my ratchet wrench set. No toolbox is complete without ratchet wrenches. They will save your life. It just makes the job so much faster. I will put a link in the description where you can get some good ones on Amazon. You don't have to get the snap-on ones like I tell everybody. I just get snap-on because it, you know, the warranty and the convenience. So if something breaks, I can just give it back to the snap-on guy and he get me another one or replace, you know, fix this one. Now, be careful because these bolts are different sizes. I'm gonna show you that now. So be wary where these bolts go. So these are the 3 bolts I pulled out. You have 2 long ones and 1 short one. So the 2 long ones go in this where it's most thick. See how it's thick? And the short one goes where it's thin, like so. Do not mix it up, because if you do that, you'll end up doing some damage. So make sure you put, when you're going back together, put the bolts, you know, where they're supposed to go. I will recap on this when I'm putting everything back together, but I just want to kind of show you guys that real quick. All right. Next thing I'm going to do is take off my belt tensioner, and that appears to be a 15. And I'm gonna need to use my ratchet wrench again. Like I said, lifesaver. And guys, with a little patience, you can do this at home. That's why I'm showing it to you. Patience is key. Take your time. And if you get frustrated, just stop, go have a beer, you know, whatever you do to calm you down, and come back to it. And, you know, sometime when you come back to this stuff, you have a fresh perspective on what's going on. It's just a tip. Because sometimes cars, well, anything in life, if it's not working out, it will frustrate you and you'll be ready to throw things. And we need to remove this last pulley down here. And it appears to be a 13. And the reason why, it's a 10 millimeter bolt right there. I can't get to it. So let's grab a 13 and try that. Come on, get on there. Okay, what I'm doing, as you can see, my finger was right here. That way, when the bolt gets really out to where it's like you can hand do it, it will no longer ratchet. So basically what I'm doing is just holding it like that so it will ratchet. I can't undo it with my hand because my hands are too big to fit down in there. And guys, I don't know if I shared this tip already. I will once I get this off. I'm kind of fighting with this right now. I guess I can let it lower, drop it down, and get it from the bottom. That's probably what I end up doing because I'm currently out of room as we speak. I probably can just leave it out just like that. I think I can get to that 10 now. Let's try this. All right. Uh-oh, where's my light? I'm gonna need a little bit more speed than that. Like I said, I'm not trying to be here all night. All right. All right, looks good. I think I got all the ones from the bottom already. Hopefully you saw that. It was just like a little push tab that the wiring harness secured to the cover with. I moved that out the way. And I'm gonna need my 4-way ratchet wrench. The reason I say that, because here's a prime example of stuff tearing up on me. So the inside is like gone. So I gotta get that replaced. So let me go grab my little 4-way handy dandy ratchet wrench and I'll be right back. Here's my little 4-way. It is an 8, 10, 12, and 13. And I'll post a link for this too, because this comes in handy a lot. Butterfingers today, I guess. I like this style, the one that you can physically turn and reverse it, because let's say, for instance, I keep going out and I bag myself up on this right here. And if it's like the flip style where you have to flip it over to go back in, I will have my wrench stuck at that point. And I will struggle to get it out because it'll be stuck. I couldn't get it out. It'd be just like that. But worse, I can get this out. So be wary of that if you have one-way ratcheting tools, because I've been in many pickles like that where it's, you know, you have to flip it around to go back in. Okay, now that I think I have all the front cover bolts loose, we're just gonna double check. And how we're gonna do that is just a visual inspection. So I'm gonna go back up with it just to make sure I have everything down beneath loose. Let's see, go up with it a little bit. Right. Let me take this wheel off because it's going to give me a fight. I'll be back. All right. As you can see, well, hopefully you can see, all my bolts look like they've been removed. And while I'm down here, I'm going to grab my nut. And let's see. Where did I have my other ones? That mean I lost one. Okay. Come on, Alex. Oh, there it is. All right, so the next thing I'm gonna do is take a flathead screwdriver and find me a good point to kind of pry outward. They make little pry points right here for you. And we're just gonna lightly pry on it. Just double checking to make sure it's nothing else, because I don't wanna pry on it and crack the front cover. All right, maybe maybe I need my big pry bar, because this little flathead is not gonna work. Yeah. Well, I tried, guys. I tried to put myself in you guys' situation, but it's not working with just a regular flathead. So I'm gonna go grab my pry tool, and I'll be back. Now, you can do this without this pry bar, but I don't have the patience for that right now. So I had to pull out the big guns. There's pry points all around this cover here. Time to get it from the bottom. See, here's a pry point. Hopefully you can see that. So what's messing me up is this thing has dowel pins in it. And if this car has a little rust around the dowel pins, it'll seize up like this. So I'm gonna really have to be careful removing this front cover, because I don't want to crack it. Whoa. Okay. Some springy action going on. Wow. It was another connector down there that was pushed pinned to the front cover. Now this front cover is also the oil pump, guys, if you didn't know. So sometimes, move this back. Sometimes it's wise to, especially with high mileage vehicles, I don't think this one has many miles on it. It's wise to go ahead and replace the front cover. New oil pump, all that good stuff. So what I recommend, replacing the oil pump, the phasers, and the timing chain. All right, so I set this to the side very gently. I'm gonna dig out some of these pieces. As you can see, a piece of a guide. Now the next step I'm gonna do is remove my gasket very gently. All right, because the customer does not want to replace this, which is fine because I've reused these gaskets in the past and never had an issue out of them. So it's not like one of those things, oh my God, if you don't replace it, something bad's gonna happen. No, it's not like that. All right, so the next thing we're gonna do is grab my, I think it's a, I forgot what size it was, but let's see, I'm gonna whip out my kit. It's an Allen head. Throw you down there. Oh no, don't drop. right, so I think it's an H10. 10 millimeter. Yes, so it's a 10 millimeter for that plug. And this plug, you have to remove this plug in order to get to the guide bolt. It's a guide bolt in there. Now, if your guide bolt is stripped out, meaning it's no longer going into the engine block itself, because it's a 10 millimeter behind this that holds the guide in place. And a lot of these engines, they're strip out. They pull the threads out because the chain done beat on them so much. There's a special plug you can buy. Actually, a YouTuber, well, one of my subscribers told me about it. And I will put that in the link in the description as well. Just so if that happened to you, you know, you can have what you need to fix it. That was a little tight. So I'm about to make sure this plug is not destroyed. I mean, this 10 is not destroyed. All right, put you away. All right, where's my light? So basically, I'm gonna just look down in there, and yes, it's still in place. So we're good there. All right. The next thing I want to do is kind of pre-time my engine, so when I take everything down, it'll be sort of in place, if that makes sense. So move you again and find my crank bolt, which is right here, and I'm gonna have to go down on this. So I'm gonna thread back up my crank bolt so I can have something to grip onto and turn the engine over. Anytime you do timing, I always suggest taking it down in time. That way you won't risk having valve to piston contact and you bend some stuff. Now it's not a tip, but it's a tip. Tip for today: if your chain has jumped or broken, or let's say jumped, and quick way on these engines to see if you have bent valves, these roller lifters will have a lot of play in them, and some of them will be falling out. So this is the cam lobe. When the cam lobe is in the up position like so, these cam lifters shouldn't come out of their home, pretty much. I call it the home, their home position. But if the valves are bent, these will just be flapping around real bad. And if yours is like that at home, you might as well stop and not even put a chain on it. You might as well go ahead and pull off the cylinder head and send it off to the machine shop to have them, you know, replace the valves. So, just a quick tip if you suspect you have bent valves. All right, moving on. What I'm probably gonna try to do is be lazy with it and just turn the cam and try to get it over in time like that. I don't like doing it that way because you can turn the cam and sometimes it'll jump teeth. So it's best to always do it down beneath from the crank screw. But I'm Alex and I always like to try stuff. So here we go. Here we go. Let's see, this should be the right size. No. Okay, there we go. All right. So that should be somewhat in time. So we're looking at these triangles, and the triangle's supposed to be in the up position, sort of like that. And uh-oh. Let me go ahead and move this out the way. Sorry about the bad camera angle here, but basically just removing the counterbalancer screw. Come on out, jeez. All right, that all looks good. Okay. All right, so the next step is removing the tensioner. The tensioner is actually back here, and it's like a big, oh wow, that was a very bad camera angle. I didn't even notice. I was showing you guys nothing. But basically, guys, the next thing we're gonna do is remove the brain fart here. the tensioner, and it's a big screw back there. I'm gonna try to take the camera off my head so you guys can see it. So let me see, can I give you guys an angle? Right there, this rusty bolt. Let me see, can I point to it with my flashlight? Bam, we're gonna remove that. And I think it's like a 32. So let's try that now. All right, got my 32 millimeter or 1.25 inches. Basically a 32. Now you're gonna wanna use a Stubby 32, and it'll help if you have some type of flex head, 1/2 inch ratchet like this. Oh, it just helps. Makes your life a lot easier. These jobs, guys, it's really all about having the correct tools. If you don't have the correct tools, you might as well forget it and let the professionals do what they do. Because without the right tools, you're gonna suffer. And no one wants to suffer. All right, so kick that to the side. Jack up on this a little bit. All right, next thing we're gonna do is remove the tensioners now and bring the light in a little bit closer so we can all see what's going on. Hopefully that's good. I'm gonna need a little bit something longer than this. All right. Be real careful when removing this one because it's kind of hard to get out. You can easily drop it. So what some people like to do, they put some tape on the end, and when they push the socket on, it would kind of be stuck there. Or if you have a magnetic tin, that will work too. But me, I like to risk it for the biscuit, and I'm gonna try pulling it out without anything fancy. Yes, it dropped, but not inside the pan. All right. So basically my technique is straight like this. When I get it out to the very end, I start angling it up like this and I pull it out. Versus if you keep it straight, you can end up dropping it. As you can see, the chain has already started getting into the screw here. If it would have kept beating on it, it would have hit it so hard, it would have ripped the threads out the block. And that's when that special plug come in handy. So basically all this plug does, it's a plug like this, but it has like, it doesn't have the threads on it like this. It has this smooth, if you can imagine this, if I cut the threads off, don't even worry about this. Just focus on the smooth part. And imagine that being attached to this plug here. So this smooth part catches the, let me just pull one out. All right. And it sits up in there like this. So the smooth part catches the guide itself. So you see how that's up in there? So the plug will go in and catch into the guide like this without the threads. So bam. And it works. It works really good. So put this away. And I'm gonna continue on taking it apart. All right, so the next thing is this lower guide bolt. All right, take this off. There's the broken part. See how it broke? All right. And I must be tired, guys, because I don't even know where I'm putting my screws at. It's been one of those summers where I done grew in popularity and everybody want to come drop their cars off. I'm not complaining, but I'm gonna have to expand my operation a little bit to keep up with work. Don't tell me I'm gonna have to play back my video to see where I put this doggone bolt. This is ridiculous. Oh my goodness. Alex, come on. All right, I'm gonna keep moving along. Oh, I laid it in the box. Gosh. All right. All righty. And on the tensioner pulley, on the tensioner guide is only 1/10 millimeter, like so. Now these phasers do have to come off. I'm choosing to pull them off last. And yeah, I think this guide comes off when the phasers are off. So now it's time for the phasers. And I do believe those are like 18s. And it's very important that you torque that stuff back together as well. All right, let me move my ring light. Hopefully my ring light is helping and not being a burden to some of you guys. Why would they switch up on me? This is silly. So it works for this one. It must be some kind of manufacturer defect because they're supposed to be the same. All right, get that lever. And guys, it is hot in here. I don't have the fan running so you can hear me. But I'm burning up for you guys. So hopefully you guys appreciate my little video here. All right. gonna tap you on since you don't want to go on. Don't laugh at me for using my socket as a hammer, but there we go. All right, so where's my ratchet? All right. Ooh. I think this is gonna be the hardest part about this job, is breaking loose the phaser bolts. Now, as you saw, I had to tap this one on. It's usually not like that. It must be some kind of defect in material or something, because it is a 15/16. Because as you see, this one goes on just fine. So, and I just got finished doing plenty of these, and I didn't have that issue. All right. Time for the light again. Now they should come out from the bottom. It just take a little bit of finessing. Let me go ahead and move my crank gear out the way, because the kit comes with a new one of those. And while I'm thinking about it, let me go ahead and move my oil squirter. It squirts oil on the chain or something, but the kit comes with a new updated one, if you was wondering what this was. It's like an oil squirter. It directs oil onto the chain or something like that. So leave that there. All right, let's continue to try to finesse this out. All right. Bam, just like that. No damage. Cool. I'm gonna go ahead and grab my 10 again and remove my upper guide, because as you can see, it's pretty destroyed. Now guys, if you're not having fun doing this, automotive is not for you. This is a blast to me. I don't know, it's something about tearing engines apart and working with them. It's so exciting. I don't know why. Right. Now, like I mentioned before, I don't have a rag, do I? I normally have a rag. The customer is not replacing the balance shaft chain and the water pump chain. They rarely go out, but if you're doing this, guys, and if you're doing this at home, guys, I recommend replacing everything. The phasers, the oil pump, the timing, the secondary chain that runs the balance shaft, and the water pump. Go ahead and replace all that. So unfortunately, I'm not doing a tutorial on replacing that today. Just a tutorial on the primary chain. So, but I am gonna check it. So it feels good. Nothing looks loose or broken. Okay. I'm gonna get a rag, clean up my work area a little bit, and we're gonna start the reassembly, the fun stuff. All right, so what I'm gonna do is take my rag and just wipe down my surfaces. Clean up everything. All right, I'm gonna take my crank gear here and slide that on. Now, with this crank gear, you want this dot facing out. It's a dot right there. There's no dot on the other side. So be mindful of that when you're putting this back on. Oh, let's see, it should just slide right over this keyway. Bam. And the next thing I'm gonna do is unpack my chain and this guide here. I'll go ahead and sneak this back up in there. Now, I've tried it the other way. I think I've tried it the other way. I think it's too thick. Or do it go in like this? Yeah, it does go in like this. Okay. I was doing it wrong. So it pulls out a lot easier from the top. Instead of, I was fighting with it earlier. I should know this, how many times I do this a day. But guys, like I said, I've been working all day and I'm a little tired, but I want to do this for you guys. So I'm not letting this one go to waste. So just kind of pre-tighten that there. Next thing I'm gonna do is grab my chain. Find the golden link, which is right here. The golden link goes in front. So next thing I'm gonna do is put my golden link on my triangle like so. Drop that down in there. Yeah, I must be tired because I know the guide can't go on or I won't be able to put the chain on. And I done screwed it all in and all that. Tripping. So don't do what I did. Learn from my mistakes. Now this chain is funny. You just can't put everything together and then slide the chain on. It's a specific way you have to slide the chain on, and I'm gonna show you. Because what most people will try to do is put the phasers on and put the chain on last. Actually, the chain has to go on with everything else. It's kind of weird. And we're dealing with these phasers, you want to make sure they lock in their grooves. Come on. There we go. I say something is wrong. And the black one, this black corresponds with this diamond triangle, however you want to call it. And make sure it's dead center. So I'm gonna go down and check my bottom mark. making sure that's on point. Those are on point. And woo, I am good. Look at that. Oh, let me see, can I take the camera off my head? All right. Dead on the dot. Look at that. Boom. Gold link. Boom. Okay. So now that we have it all timed up, I can continue putting it back together. All right. Let's see. Now I want to make sure I felt the cam phaser go in this groove, but I didn't feel it. I didn't feel it go in this one. So I'm gonna turn the cam with my wrench and see, can I get it to pop in the keyway here. Very important that you get it in the keyway. And you know you got it in the keyway is when you turn this, the cam will correspond with it. So as you can see, every time I'm turning it, it's not, the cam is not moving. I'm about to make a mess. Let me move some of these tools. All right, so gotta get this cam on here. Oh, and it's stuck on this guy. Come on. There we go. You want to make sure it's on this guide properly too. Go in and secure you so it can stop sliding down. Bam, you see that? How that just worked? I turned it after I lined the guide up, of course. I turned the cam itself and it just slid right down on there. So it's a good little trick you can use to know you in your grooves. Because sometimes you have to work blind. I didn't want to take it off, look at it after I done timed up everything. So now that it's in its grooves, I can torque these down to 43 foot-pounds and continue the assembly process. All right, that looks good. Make sure I'm still lined up below. Yep, all right. Let me go grab my torque wrench. All right, I have my torque wrench set to 43 foot-pounds and 18 millimeter. And I'm gonna go ahead and grab my wrench so I can hold the cam like that and start cranking down on it. Now it's very important, again, I can't stress enough at getting those grooves, because if you start cranking down on this, you will bend that keyway, messing up your cam and doing all sorts of damage. All right. Got this again. That's so annoying. All right. Got to wiggle, wiggle, wiggle. All right. And of course, I'm not done with my torque wrench, because I have to torque down the cover bolts and I got a new oil squirter. I'll actually read the instructions to you so you can see what it says. The enclosed oil nozzle has been redesigned to provide higher flow rate characteristics to increase to increase oil flow to the timing chain under low RPM. It is recommended to replace the oil nozzle when replacing the timing chain set. So I'm guessing this new design helps to lubricate things and make things last a lot longer, because the factory timing chain for these engines, these 2.4 Ecotecs, and man, they normally go out around, let's see, 100K to 150K. If I had one of these engines in my personal car, I would just go ahead and replace the timing chain set at 100K, just to be on the safe side. All right, next item I'm gonna grab is my guide, and it goes on like so. So slide that on up in there. All right. And these bolts, I do believe they're 18 foot-pounds. I'm gonna double check that. It's very crucial that you torque your guides and anything dealing with the timing chain area, because you don't want to go back in there and you sure don't want to pull out any threads. If you pull out threads, you might as well just go in the house or just stop, because that's a major mess up if you over tighten these things and pull out these threads. So very crucial. Yeah, torque them down to the recommended can't get my words out. The recommended specs. And the recommended specs, let's see. Left lower guide bolt, oil pump, 2 secondary. Tensioner. So 18 first pass. Final pass. So 18 foot-pounds. Yep. All right. Cool. Oh, that don't feel right. Let's see. That's what it says. No, I'm gonna stop. I guess my paper is wrong today, because that's what the instructions said. Let's see. Try this one. Come on. It's a long bolt for some odd reason today. I haven't even started tightening down yet. Yep, that don't feel right. All right, so My information must be wrong. All right, guys, I had to go look it up. I can't believe I forgot that that quick. But the torque spec is 89 inch-pounds. I don't know. I may have to get another guide for, you know, torque specs and stuff. It's because my little program be leading me astray sometime. Now, guys, if you do notice a lot of sludge build up in your engine, it'll be like black gunky stuff. When removing the oil nozzle, stick something up in there and just, you know, make sure that hole is clean of any sludge. This engine didn't have any sludge, so I didn't stick anything in there to clean it because it was already clean. So I'm gonna just borrow this. All right. Cool. Now that everything is torqued down, I can grab my... Uh-oh, my thing is falling off my head. Stay up there. Grab my top tensioner. And these are 89 inch-pounds as well. All right. Come off. I'm just gonna run those up by hand. Oh yeah. All right, now it's tensioner time. This tensioner, you're supposed to torque it down at 55 foot-pounds. And there's an activation procedure on this tensioner because as it sits right now, it's not activated. So I'm gonna show you that in a little bit. First, we're gonna thread it in there. Pre-tighten it. All right, bam. Now it's time to torque it. And I'm going to need my adapter, my 3/8 to 1/2 inch if I'm going to use this torque wrench. So let me go find that. I'm just all out of whack today. Gotta go find everything. Okay, guys, here we go. Got my adapter. Now, of course, I show you guys the right way of doing everything on my channel. Now, you can just give it a little oomph and kind of guesstimate this stuff. But it's always best, if you can, to torque everything down properly. All right, so if I can get it back there, that's the main problem here. All right. Voila. A little bit too much, but that's okay. All right, and they want this plug torqued down as well. What I'm gonna do, I'm gonna take a little black RTV and rub around my threads. Just some sealant. So I'm not prepared, like always. Let me go grab some of that. All right, I'm gonna take some black RTV. It's just sealant. You can use Teflon, liquid Teflon as well. I like black RTV. And this is supposed to be torqued down at 55 foot-pounds as well. We know it's a 10 millimeter. And I know I'm gonna have to use my adapter. So here we go. All right, that's it. Put this over here. And that was the last part of the chain section. Now I'm gonna show you guys how to activate the tensioner, because if you leave it like this, it will end up, the chain will jump. So we're gonna have to activate this tensioner. And to, I know I already made a video on it, but if you wanted to inspect your chain's supposed to be tight. You don't supposed to have any play. I'm gonna show you guys on another engine in a little bit. This engine has a little miles on it, but I'm gonna show you the chain does not supposed to have any slack in it. Yeah, most people think, oh, it has the slack because the engine hasn't been running to pump the tensioner up. That chain's supposed to be tight. So I'm gonna grab my pry bar that slung out my hand earlier and I'm gonna simply just push down on the chain. Hopefully you saw that. Basically use this point, pointed at my flashlight, basically just pry it like that. Now the now the tensioner is activated. All right, so that's how you do that. I'm gonna double check my timing marks. Boom, boom, boom. All right. Good down there. Now, on my past videos, I had this one in particular. It was a Chrysler with the 2.7 in it. A lot of people don't get it. I'm gonna kind of briefly discuss it right now. It doesn't matter. Let me see if I can give a better example by doing this. Long as the dots or triangles or whatever it is corresponding to the links, it's gonna be in time. So a lot of people get hung up, well, it has to be at 3 o'clock or it has to be at 4 o'clock. Yes, I do that when you're taking everything down because you don't want valve to piston contact. But, you know, when you're timing everything, it doesn't matter. I'm kind of taking it out of position now. Okay, so as you see, I just rolled it forward. My links is still on point. Even down there, it's still gonna be on point. That's just a little example. I kind of got off topic, but let's finish putting this thing back together. I'm gonna grab my seal and I'm gonna wipe it off and inspect it for any damage. On you guys' cars at home, I do recommend replacing this seal. but if you're trying to save a little bit, you can get away with the old oil pump gasket. But I do recommend replacing it. But I'm not going to replace this one. Alright, so it has these little dowel pins that I'm kind of just like sticking in there to kind of hold it in place like that. I'm gonna go up on my engine a little bit. All right, now it's time for the cover or oil pump. All right. Now, these bolts are torqued to 18 foot-pounds. So I'm not going to bore you with that. I'm going to go ahead and cut it right here. I'm basically just going to tighten down my bolts. And then after that, torque them. So I'm not going to bore you with that. It's one of those boring, time-consuming things. So I will cut the camera once. I'll cut the camera back on once I get underneath again. Well, no, I probably cut the camera back on when I'm putting on I can't think of nothing right now. I don't know what's wrong with me. It's 9 o'clock at night. That's what's wrong with me. The tensioner, belt tensioner. All right, got my front cover, the top portion of it, all torqued down to specs, which is 18 foot-pounds. Next thing I'm gonna do is just install my, well, before I do that, I need to tighten back down my idler pulley down here that I took loose, and it was a 13. Now, guys and gals, if you're doing this at home, I've already done it off camera. I'm sorry I didn't show it, but I basically rotated the engine to make sure everything is properly, even though all the lines is, you don't know. Even though the timing lines and the timing marks are lined up properly, defects happen. It could be, one of the tooths could be off or something, factory defect, and the links could be in the wrong spot, and you go to crank over the engine and it's out of time due to, faulty parts, and you bend the valve. So it's very important that you rotate this engine by hand before starting it, or before you put this front cover back on. Please don't forget to do that step. It can save you a world of trouble. I'm speaking from experience. Come on, long bolt. All right, and there we go. And there's a pin, alignment dowel, that lines up in this hole right here. Hopefully you can see it. But basically, if you're not sure, you should just be able to rotate it until it kind of sinks down in a hole and you can't rotate it anymore. That's how you know you got it in that hole, that alignment dial in that hole. All right, and I do believe that was a 15. I'm just gonna give it a wrist tight, nothing too crazy. Yes, we can whip out the torque specs, but as long as you're not just putting all your body force into it, it should be fine. I'll show you guys again. I'm just wrist tight, or if you're a little bit on the small frame side, you know, just pull back slightly with your body and you'll be fine. All right. Or use a torque wrench. Take the guesswork out of stuff. All right, so now it's time for me to go under. Then I'm gonna come back to the top, put back on my mount bracket, and probably gonna install my belt first because it's easier with the mount bracket off. So I'm gonna go ahead and raise it up, and I will be back. Fix my camera. Now that we're back under, I'm gonna slide in my long 13mm bolt. Come on, get in there. And go ahead and put in all my 10s. Voila. And I'm gonna go ahead and torque these down to 18 foot-pounds as well. So I'll be back. All right, got those all torqued down to specs, 18 inch foot-pounds. I'm gonna take some brake parts cleaner and spray this bottom oil up, because during the testing period and the test drive, I want to make sure everything is clean, so I won't, you know, you don't want to leave dirty stuff, because you'd be like, was that there before, or did it happen while on the test drive? We don't know. So that's why we clean everything up. All right. Let's see. Now, these grooves have to line up in the oil pump drive. So, and it has to line up with the dowel pin here. I forgot what it was called. So already I can see I need to turn my oil pump because it's not in the appropriate position. So I'm gonna take my keyway and use it as a reference, because my keyway is up and the two flat sides is on the side. So now when I put this in, it should slide right in according to my calculations. Booyah. I'm gonna take my crank bolt here. And normally what I do, good people, is just hit it with my impact gun. But you're supposed to torque this bolt down. I've never had any issues with doing it this way, so I'm gonna hit it with my impact and call it a day. all it needs. All right. Now, I'm gonna go back up to the top and put on my belt and my valve cover gasket, and this job will be done. All right, I have the belt diagram for quick reference. So this is it. This is for the 3 liter and this is for the 2.4. We're working on the 2.4, so it's gonna be this one. So I'm gonna sit that to the side. First off, I'm gonna make sure my ratchet will fit on, the tensioner. So I can either do it like I did before or go find my tool so I can get it in there and adjust, pull back the tension on the belt tensioner. But I'm gonna try to jack it up a little bit more. As far as it go. Nope. So I'm gonna go grab my tool for my belt tensioner because I want to put it on at the top, and plus I want to show you guys how to use that tool. All right, back with my tool. Like I mentioned before, it's just a long bar with a 3/8 drive on the end. I forgot how bad of a shape it was in. Let's see if it still works. It's time for a replacement, Alex. Let's see. Yep, she still works. So I guess a replacement have to come later. All right, so the first thing I'm gonna do, let me shine some more light down here so you guys can see. Hopefully that's good. I'm gonna go on the crank pulley first. Make sure I get on the grooves. And I'm gonna go under the AC compressor. And I'm gonna go under my tensioner, like so. Come on, get under there. All right, so it's not going under the tensioner because it's too close to the crank pulley. So I'm gonna take my tool here and just simply pull up. Voila. All right. All right, next thing I'm gonna do is go over my power steering. And after that, they want me to go I'm messing it up. Take this one. Come on. Like so. All right, so what I'm gonna do, just so to make it easier on me, I'm gonna put the power steering on last. All right. Where am I? Come on. I got my belt stuck. Belts can be annoying sometimes, guys. You just have to continue to take your time and just play with them. I'm sorry about the lighting. I know it's terrible. Let's try that. Now the thing is in the way, I bet. Okay, let's try that right there. All right. Got my belt unstuck. Let me get it back in the grooves down here. All right. So now this goes like this. All right, now we're ready to take the tensioner tool and go up like this. And I'm running out of room. Yeah, I'm out of room. All right, let's try this. No, I just don't have enough. Okay. This is supposed to be the easy part, but hey, this is a car. Sometimes stuff will give you a challenge. Even the simplest thing. See if I can manhandle it up. Manhandling it didn't work. Almost did. Now, if my tool wasn't janky, this could have been on, but by me being cheap, I'm still working with repaired tools. What I would suggest at home is to get one of these. I'm gonna put it in the link. I'm probably gonna be buying one myself. As you can see, I repaired it a couple of times and it's like twisted, so it's in really bad shape. So if it wasn't like that, twisted like that, it'd been easier for me to just, you know, roll it back. But since my tool is busted, I had to manhandle it on there. Now, put this to the side. I can start by reinstalling my mounts, and after I get my valve cover on, I want to show you guys something on my my spare engines. I have these engines all over the shop because they're so problematic with the timing chain system. I know I was showing you guys how to time it. Unfortunately, not a bad thing on my part, but a bad thing on you guys' part. When I lined these up and had it down there, not knowing that it was already in time. So I didn't really have to play with it to get the crank in time with the cams. So I'm gonna try to demonstrate if you put the top on and the bottom is not in time. I'm gonna try to demonstrate on one of my other engines over there how to, you know, play around with the bottom to get that in time. But moving along, I'm gonna go ahead and install my motor mount bracket. All right. And remember, guys, there's some short and longs like I mentioned earlier in the video. So you don't want to mix those up. All right, and I do believe those are 18s. So I'm gonna go ahead and tighten these down, and I'm not gonna torque them. They just so thick bolts, you can kind of give it a nice little arm tight and you should be good. So I'm not gonna bore you with this. I'll cut back in when I'm putting the top part on. All right, got that all tightened down. The next thing I'm gonna do is secure my wiring harness. Remember, guys, during the disassemble process, you had these little push connectors right here. Hopefully you can see that. Maybe this holds. No, nothing is in the way. I think you guys can see it. you have these little connectors that just kind of push in place, and it's 2 of them, so don't forget. That's an O2 sensor connector. That one kind of push in place down here. If I can get it in there. There we go. And I'm gonna go ahead at this time and secure my power steering line. Now, some of you guys may not have a power steering line. You may have a electric power steering, so it will not have the power steering pump, and the belt drive will be a little bit simpler, so it'll look a little bit different. So I'm gonna grab my 8mm and tighten down my power steering line bracket. Very important that you don't forget this, because a loose power steering line can rub on something and rupture, along with the push, the security push pins for the wiring harness. It secures the wiring harness. So, all right. All right, next thing, I'm gonna grab my engine mount. I'm gonna lower my engine down a little bit, so it was too high. I'm gonna go ahead and thread up everything. I probably should have secured that line after I put these in, but it's okay. And like before, I'm not gonna bore you with the tightening process of this. You just give it a nice little arm tight. It is an engine mount, so you don't have to be delicate with it. You're not gonna break nothing on here, unless you get a breaker bar and tighten it down with all your might. And of course, something will strip out. But if you just grab a normal ratchet and just give it a nice little arm tight, you should be good to go. All right, got my motor mount all tightened down. Just to recap, secured my power steering line, secured my wiring harness. You know, it pushes into the cover, and now I'm just looking over everything, double checking. I'm about to grab my air box, stick that back down in there. Can't really see nothing. All right, the air box slides into this little stud right here. Hopefully you can see that. Yep. And then there should be some 10mm up here. All right, grab my ratchet. Oh, it was right in front of me. All right. And with these, you don't need all that tight. Just wrist tight would do. I'm gonna just go ahead and plug this in for kicks and giggles. If I plug it in right, it'll work. All right. Voila. All right, the last thing is to remove my jack, because I no longer need it. And all right, I'm going to grab my valve cover. Oh, this is the new one. I'll show you the old one. See, they tried to fix it, but he said it was too thin. So they purchased a used one off the internet, I'm assuming. I'm making sure it's the same. All right, I need this hose off of there and this rubber grommet for the big cover. I'll get that in a little bit. I've already put my valve cover gasket on. Alright. So with ease, I'm gonna place it down there to make sure your wiring harness is not caught underneath the valve cover. That's a bad thing if that happens. Just go ahead and plug those camshaft solenoids back up just to get them out the way. And grab all my tins. All right. Start running those in. Now, sometimes you'll see them like with a rubber grommet right here. It's okay if they're missing. I think it just holds the bolts in place during assembly on the assembly line or something like that. That's the only thing I can think of. Alright, like always, I'm gonna hand tighten all these down. Then I'm gonna torque them down to 89 inch-pounds. So I'm not gonna bore you with this. I'm gonna go ahead and secure this, and I will cut back in when I'm getting ready to put on the coils. All right, got everything torqued down to 89 inch-pounds. I'm gonna go ahead and lay my coils in place because I still have to hook up this purge line. And I did this line off camera. I had undid this, the fuel line. So I went ahead and secured that while I was doing the valve covers. It was just this little tin right here. So now the reason I moved this, just to recap on some things, I didn't want to break it. So I just moved it out the way. So now I'm gonna stick it back in there and hopefully I can remember how it was routed. Bam, and pretty simple. Okay, nothing special. Put this back in its place. All right. And I'm gonna do the same thing. I'm just gonna tighten these down to 89 inch-pounds as well. All right. I keep forgetting where I put my ratchet wrench. It's okay. Got my torque wrench. I thought I saved it, but I guess I didn't. Voila. All right. Now, I think the cover, which is right here, can't forget that step because the cover goes on and then the air intake tube goes on. So I just got to remember to put the crankcase breather tube up in there. All right. I gotta find my crankcase breather tube. I know I had one. All right. That's secure. I'm gonna take a flathead and tighten that up. Running out of light. Here we go. Voila. And I'm missing a piece, so I'm gonna go find that. Oh, it's right here. Okay, so let's run that up in here. Like so. Voila. All right. I do believe that is it. Now it's time for the first start. So, just again, I'm gonna just double check everything. Make sure all my wires are in the proper place. No screws up here. All right. Everything looks good. Let's give it a start and see how she sounds. Good old Captiva. Whew, sounds amazing. So there we go. I'm gonna let that sit and run and for a little minute, and I'm gonna show you guys two things over in my other bay before I close out this video. All right, so here's just the engine that I had laying around. Check out the carnage on this one though. The chain completely destroyed the tensioner. It's in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 different pieces. And when I remove the front cover, you can see it's been beating on the front cover. This dropped out. This is this bolt that I was telling you about that rips out of the threads. That rips the threads out of the block. So this is what happened to this one. All right, guys. This is one of the engines that I have laying around. As you can see, complete carnage. This is all the stuff that fell out when I removed the front cover. As you can see, it completely destroyed the bottom tensioner bolt. That's like cut in half. Destroyed the oil jet. That's completely destroyed. Nicked the front cover a little bit, and this was just laying down in there somewhere. This is the bolt that I was telling you about earlier, that when the chain slaps it so hard, it'll pull out the thread. So if yours is like this, you need that special plug that I was telling you about earlier. But I want to show you guys, if the timing does not line up, all you have to do is disconnect this. It should be enough slack in the system where you should be able to roll this, roll it out. Let's see. See, it's not enough. I gotta kind of pull it down. I want to show you guys. Let me see if I can work it with one hand here. All right. No, I'm not gonna be able to work it with one hand. Hold on. All right, I want to show you guys the timing. Say for instance, just recap over some things. I guess you call it recap. If you put your chain on, line it up here, or like I did earlier. I put this pulley on first, then line it up right here. And if it is not lined up at the bottom, right now will be a good time to do so. So pull it down, line up your little link on the little dot that I was showing you earlier, and then come back up to the top and put this pulley on like I showed you earlier. Make sure it's lined up with the diamond with the link, the colored link, and you should be good. Now also I want to show you when these things do bend valves. Let me see, can I find one? The lifter will be like really loose like this. You can really rock it. In some cases, remove it. Let me see. Find another loose one. But you get the idea. As you can see, this one is already missing roller rockers. I call them roller rockers. Now, what it's supposed to look like, this is another engine that I have laying around here. When you pull this for valve cover off, this is what you want to see. You want to see a nice tight chain. This engine haven't been ran for a while, so it should be bled down, and it is missing this little plastic piece right here that's supposed to take up this little slack. It's not there, but it's supposed to be tight like that. You don't supposed to have a whole bunch of flop, and this guide don't supposed to be broken off like this one. See, it's completely sheared off. You have way too much slack. All right, just wanted to show you that real quick. So guys, I hope you enjoyed that repair tutorial on how to do a timing chain on the 2-liter Ecotec, the 2.2-liter Ecotec, and the 2.4, which is this one right here. The process applies to all of those engines. If you have any questions, please write down in the comments. Like always, love you guys. See you guys on the next repair tutorial. Alex the Car Doctor out.